Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Underneath the Hood. I'm Dave Martin, the owner of Martin's Auto Repair in Central Phoenix.
I'm Glen Hayward, the proud owner of Goodworks Auto Repair in sunny Tempe, Arizona.
And I'm Lee Weatherby with Accurate Automotive in the heart of Mesa.
And together, we represent 140 years of combined automotive experience.
Our goal is to change the perception of our auto repair industry by going behind the scenes and underneath the hood.
And we hope to share with you what it's like to own a small business and give you a perspective from an insider's point of view.
So let's get started. Good morning, guys.
David, how are you doing, brother? Lee, what's going on?
Not too much. Glenner, how you doing,
Did you have
Dave?
a great, did you have a great week?
Good to see
I had a
you.
fantastic week. In fact,
Me
you know
too.
what? It's great to be alive.
Yeah.
It's great to be in Arizona, man. I was in the 60s and 70s, and
Well,
I
speaking
think
of,
this week it's going to be back into the mid 70s to low 80s.
I'll tell you what, this morning it was cold. I went outside. I didn't have a jersey on, and I told my wife, I went back in, woo, it's a little chilly.
Yeah, it
43
was.
degrees is cold when you got thick blood.
yeah,
Well,
or thin
on-
blood.
on
Or thin blood, yeah.
Yeah, it's
on,
thin
another,
blood.
on another topic, let's start the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
All right.
let's do
So
that.
we're
That's
doing
what we're
something new on the podcast. It's called On This Day in History. So on this day in history in 1967, April 1st, April Fool's Day,
Wow.
and this was not something for fools to know about, but the United States Department of Transportation created amongst other things a set of safety rules and regulations and policies for major modes of transportation. I'm shocked that it took them till 1967. I mean, automobiles were already being invented and driven in the early 1900s, and even before that. But they became
Safety
the
wasn't
thing.
safety wasn't
The
measured then.
horseless carriage, and they had a lot of accidents with people running into people's horses and carriages back in the day. And I'm surprised that someone in the government didn't say, we kind of need to regulate where the horses and the cars need to
And,
figure out.
I think what it was at the time, that was probably for people that had a little bit more income, or what they would call the
Affluent.
social
Yeah,
elite,
yeah,
affluent.
yeah.
And so there wasn't a ton of them, but back in the 60s, I mean, think about it, cars became
Well,
more
even in the
prevalent.
50s.
I don't think they had seatbelts. I mean, I remember we used to lay in the back seat on the top there by
Wait
the
a minute.
window.
Are you telling me the horseless carriage didn't go away till the 1960s?
No,
Come on now. No, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I mean the horse and buggies didn't go away, but I mean you'd think that as one became more extinct, the other one would have to be more heavily regulated because there's so many cars, and train tracks back in the days didn't have anything but a little thing that said train crossing. There was no lights and flashing and barriers that came down to keep people from busting out in front of the train. So
That's progress. They saw the need and they made an adjustment.
Yeah.
right, but it took them till the 1960s
Yeah.
to do it. I'm like, whoa.
Well, thank heavens they did it.
All right.
Well,
Onward and upward.
I think back then they just looked at it as natural selection.
Yeah.
Right? If you're this dumb, you don't deserve to be here.
Amen.
Well, hey, Lee, you know what? The topic we're going to talk about today is good, better, best. And this was something near and dear to your heart you wanted to talk about. So what do you got for us?
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. This is a term that we're hearing more and more and more. And the older that I get, the more I just look into this. Good, better, and best. And I thought to myself, we're confronted with this at every step of any buying process we go through, from, going to get your morning beverage, or, from the tip that we leave, to be at the counter, they flip it over and it says, good or better or best, even to the clothing that we buy. You know what I mean? What is it, good, better, best? What does it mean? And particularly, how does it relate to our industry, in automotive service? Because literally every tier offers value. You know what I mean? But it depends on what you're looking for. And so I just thought it would be something that we could take some time and maybe address. What does good look like? What does better look like? And what does the best look like? And do the categories really fit? You know what I mean? I thought that would be something that we could take some time and really go through.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is good, better, best to you?
Well, good, better, best, to me, it speaks of the quality of something. It's
Bingo.
the quality of the product, the materials that it's made out of, whether it's your clothing or whether it's the brake pads on your vehicle. There are a number of different kinds of materials. Is it nylon? Is it rayon? Is it cotton? Is it, whatever. I'm not talking about brakes, okay?
Yeah.
Talking about clothing. But in the apparel world, there's silks, there's satins, there's whatever, and so those materials cost more or less money to make. And again, where the workmanship is done also has a bearing on the final cost. So we get a lot of goods that come from foreign countries. I won't name any, but Oftentimes those goods are sold for a lot less because the labor cost and everything becomes much less. Americans make more money, so you buy something American, and typically it generates, in my mind, a sense of quality too, where something is made. So I look at it and I say, yeah, I can buy this, but I can buy this thing made here in America, or I can buy this thing here made in a foreign land, and you know, depending on the price gap and how long I plan on using that object, that item, whatever it is going to help me make a determination of what I want to buy for the immediate now, because a year from now or 2 years from now, it may not matter.
And, interestingly enough, I looked at this from the standpoint of my father. Okay. As a little kid, I used to run around with my dad. And I think I'm old enough now to where I can remember when my dad would go to the auto parts store to go get a car, get a part, get something. There was one choice. He didn't have good, better, best. You know what I mean? He had one choice. You drive what kind of car, Wes? Okay, this is the brake pad that fits that car. You know what I mean? And here you go. And it wasn't, this grade or that grade or anything else. And I agree with exactly what you're saying. Nowadays, sometimes things are dictated by the dollars that we have in our wallet.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that doesn't necessarily equate to the best choice we could make, but it is the best choice we could make for that day. And the reality of it is, I think that we need to be understanding and aware of that. You know what I mean? Because we have to be cost and price conscious, but we have to be quality educated.
Well, if you're going to give a warranty, if you're going to give a long warranty and you want something to last for a long period of time, you want a quality product. And we talked about this in other podcasts. Is manufacturing has changed so much over the years that the metals, the whatever they're using to build that product can be substituted with so many different things, and it is. And unfortunately, some of it is inferior. It doesn't last as long, and it wears out faster.
I know, I'm shocked at the amount of plastic they put on hot engines, thermostat housings, and intake manifolds, and everything that used to be made out of steel or aluminum or cast iron.
They tend to warp, don't they?
Oh, not just
they degrade.
Warp, they
do.
degrade.
They
and you end up with all kinds of unnecessary repairs. I understand the car manufacturers are trying to cut their costs. It doesn't, honestly, an aluminum thermostat housing and a plastic one can't be that big of a cost differential. But when you talk about millions of cars being generated, the fat cats at the top want to put that money in their pocket. Well, that's the only way I can view it.
Yeah, the thing is, they're trying to cut pennies out of nickels. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's what's happening. And listen, they've got all kinds of people that are working on just that. How do we cut pennies out of nickels?
Plastic radiators. Back in the day, they were made out of copper. They were made out of brass. And those things would last for 50 years before they needed to be.
Well, let me ask this question, because this is one of the things that really drove me to thinking about this, and that was this. Good, better, best. All right. Fluids. Let's just talk about some specific fluids. Coolants. Is there such a thing as good, better, best, or is there specific things that go into specific vehicles? Or, is it really the reality that we just go to the auto parts store and one size fits all?
No.
No? What do you mean no? Come on, Dave.
Not one size fits all.
Dave.
It's all different.
Gosh.
It's just all different. And
Dave, are you sure? Wait a minute. It's on the shelf.
Yeah.
It's on the shelf.
Yeah.
Come on.
It
says this fits my car.
Yeah. But yeah.
Wait a minute, but? What do you mean, but? Come on.
Well, you can go into the auto parts store and you can buy something, but there again, first of all, is it meant for your car? Are you going to get the longevity that you want out of that particular product, or are you going to have to change it more often? There's so many different things that you need to take into consideration.
I got $10 in my wallet, and that says it fits my car. Can I buy that and put that in my car?
Sure.
No.
You can. You can do anything you want. You have free will.
I like that.
You can do whatever you want.
I like
that. Yeah. I've seen some people put stuff in their car that didn't belong.
Yeah, even something as simple as spark plugs, right?
Bingo.
People who are DIYs, do-it-yourselfers, they'll go and there's this brand and that brand. I won't even name brands, but there's aftermarket spark plugs that aren't made the same as the original equipment manufacturer ones. So what can happen? Well, the pintos can fall out and get into your engine and destroy the cylinder walls and knock holes in your pistons. We've seen it happen. I've seen it happen.
Well, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So the manufacturing process for something that's quality is way different than the OE manufacturer who stands behind what they do. In fact, I bought a set of AC Delco plugs once for a supercharged Buick, right? And it turned out, well, anyway, what happened is the customer came back and one of the spark plugs had come apart. And it actually damaged his supercharger, had to be replaced. And thankfully, it didn't do anything to the piston, but you could see pitting on top, but it didn't knock a hole in it. So we called my Delco distributor, and they says, yeah, let me see the boxes that, where did you buy them from? And I bought it from my regular supplier. Well, it turns out that some foreign country had made knockoff plugs that came in their box, and they were like way cheaper. And I didn't buy them because they were cheap. I just bought it because that's the brand that I was going to. It was an AC Delco plug. It needed to be in a General Motors car.
And interestingly enough,
so they ended up buying all the parts for me and making it right with the customer. But if I hadn't said anything, I would have had to have eaten a freaking supercharger on a vehicle.
But see, and that's fortunate, for that consumer in that case, and also for, you and your shop. But the real reality of it is that's great education for customers to know, because not everything that is in the box, is what it's advertised to be. So going back to the good, better, best scenario, I just wonder how that came about. Some marketing, guru probably says, hey, we can build a less quality product. And that doesn't mean, I want to be careful here, because I believe each one of these price points, is a tier that does serve a purpose. You know what I mean?
Right.
And because here's the thing, if you have it, great. But if you don't, and you need it, and this is available, then I'm all for, hey, let's get that and make it work. You know what I mean? The problem it all goes back to is exactly what you said. How long can you afford to stand behind it or warranty it? And The thing of it is, that's one of the flip sides that I think we need to really look at. There's a reason why you offer a good, solid warranty. There's a reason why you offer a good, solid warranty. And if you look at what it is, see, for example, and we've even talked about this prior, and that is, at Accurate Automotive, we can't use, let's call it a brake pad, anything less than what is called a PG grade. Now, in our industry, we know PG stands for professional grade. So that eradicates any product that would fall into the good category, because good products don't meet the criteria that's necessary for PG. Couldn't put them on at the factory. You see what I mean? You have to be at least comparable to what was put on at the factory.
Comparable, that's a good word.
And if it's not comparable, then it shouldn't be utilized because it can't be warranted. Now, the things that happen are, will they stop the car? Yes, they will. Will they create noise and will they cause reverberation, vibration? Most likely, you know what I mean?
And will they put brake tests all over your wheels so you got to wash them every week?
Most likely, likely.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing of it is if that's what you had for that day, it's better to have them than not. You see what I mean? So I say that price category, you know what I mean? It does work and function, you know what I mean, for a certain percent of a client. You know what I mean? And the thing of it is...
Yeah, what's your goal? Do you want these brakes to last for...
Right. Or do I just got to get
2
through
years,
the day?
5 years,
yeah,
8 years?
Well, and then, one of the things that I go back to when you're talking about good, better, best is that, sometimes parts that we get that I'm going to say are good, the technician has to modify it to put it in the car.
Wow.
And once
now you're talking about motor mounts.
And everybody in the shop, and power steering hoses too sometimes.
Absolutely.
Drill new holes.
And everybody in the shop knows when that happens, because you got a very unhappy technician out there. You do. And then the consumer, what do? You charge them more labor. And in the end, it isn't any cheaper, because now your tech spent another hour modifying these parts to get them on the vehicle. Somebody's got to pay for that. So in the end, it sometimes, in a lot of cases, it's not worth.
And the car vibrates worse than it did before you changed the mounts.
And so here's the real crux of it, because now we have the internet and everything else. And I mean, we've had a lot of people say, well, I can get this part for this cost. Yeah. And yet we all know that they probably can, but it's probably not an exact match. It probably won't fit. You know what I mean? Yeah. But here's the thing. Why does this part cost $37, but the actual part that fits the car is $149? Yeah. Why is there such a gap? And the thing of it is, we really have to kind of address that to some degree, to say, there is a difference, a vast, massive difference.
Externally, they look exactly the same.
Similar, but not exactly.
Yes.
No, I mean, even electrical parts, they look exactly the same. The plugs look the same. The sensors, they all look the same. But what's inside of them is what makes the difference between their longevity and their functionality, and you know, you being able to fix a problem, or I just put in a new sensor and it's not working, or it comes back a week later and the same sensor that fixed the car is now creating another problem because, you know, that you bought a part that, you know, was substandard.
Right.
Period.
Well, and the thing of it is and Glenn, just exactly to your point, most consumers are not going to do failure rate analysis on components. You know what I mean? They're not going to determine, well, gosh, this part has a percentage of failure, you know, that is much higher than what we can afford to utilize.
But you think they're going to? You think those people make those cheap parts are going to publish that?
Absolutely not.
No,
Absolutely not.
there's no information to document that and say, oh,
right.
if I buy this part, it's going to last.
We just did about a year ago. We did a master switch for the driver's door for the windows and door locks and everything, and I bought another one.
Yeah.
And had a really rough time finding it because it was an older vehicle.
Yeah.
And but I did find one. It happened to be aftermarket because that's the only place I could get it. And I picked up. If you held one in one hand and one in the other hand, the weight difference was just on a plastic.
Massive
Difference. The weight difference was totally different. The original was a lot heavier than the one I put in there. And it just, you know, there's such a, you know, of course it's all about the cost of manufacturing.
You bet.
And what materials they want to use to bring the price down.
Right. Well, and here's the thing. Like I say, good is a line that is offered, you know what I mean, so that every consumer, you know what I mean, think about this. People that are selling parts of any kind, whether it be clothing to auto parts, you know what I mean, even to tires, okay? You have the good lines.
Oh,
you know
don't
what I mean?
get me started on tires.
I know, but what I'm saying is...
No, I understand what you're saying.
We're going to call those entry-level products, you know what I mean?
Right.
But then you have what are we going to call the good or the better lines. Now, the better lines are the ones that basically say, you know, these are the products that would be comparable to what you would probably get when the car was delivered, you know what I mean, off the manufacturer. And then the best products, a lot of these products, you know what I mean, are not necessarily needed, you know what I mean, in some cases, but in some cases they have been enhanced, meaning that they actually have taken the original product that was made by the manufacturer and they have enhanced it to become a much better product, you know what I mean? And yes, there is in some cases a substantial cost difference. Once again, you're talking about that weight thing.
Yeah.
Well, but the quality that goes inside, you know what I mean? But they've just taken and they've redesigned it, you know what I mean, of how this actually is supposed to function and operate, and then they've got it. What I was hoping that we could do in this is just kind of look at, it's a reality that we have good, better, and best. We need to try to be able to help, you know, people understand what products and things like that they're trying to buy. But when it comes to our automobiles and how we maintain them, you know, good, better, best, I really want to talk about that because I believe that, you know, we have to really be careful, you know what I mean, and finding out what our people want. And if they want good, we have to make sure that we have a good quality offering for them. If they want better, we have to have that offering available for them. And if they want the best, we have to make sure that we have that offering available for them, you know what I mean, so that we can support their needs, because it all boils down to exactly what you're saying. The quality and the capability of longevity being able to be provided.
You said something that was very important here. The education part of it is the most important part. The thing of it is most people, I'm a consumer, you're a consumer, you're a consumer. What do we want? We want the best.
What are you consuming?
That's what, well, it depends. Yeah. I want the best for that too, you know.
There you go.
Yeah, but no, we do. You know, when I go in there, I don't want to revisit this thing in a short amount of time.
Right.
You know, if I'm changing a light bulb, I want to get the light bulb that's going to last the longest.
That's the quality side.
Yeah, right. That's the quality side of it.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, you could go in there and you go into the hardware store and there's a whole aisle full of light bulbs and all of them will, you know, most of them will fit.
Right.
Problem is though, is they all do different things. They last, some of them last longer than others. And, you know, the thing of it is we try to educate our clients and letting them know that, hey, look, you don't want this thing to fail.
Right.
Because if it fails, it's going to leave you stranded. It's not going to be at a good time.
Right.
We want to make sure that we put the best, and we want to let them know why. We want to let them know why that this part isn't good for your car. This part is good. Is the good
right, especially if it entails a tremendous amount of labor to install that part.
Right.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
3,
let's-
4,
let's-
5-hour jobs,
Yeah.
and they want the cheapest part that you can put in there. Well, okay, then I'm not going to warranty it for my 5 years and 60,000 miles like I do, or 336, or you guys are all at least 336, right? 3 years from now, I know for a fact this part is not going to last for 3 years.
It's not going to make it.
And the doggone check engine light's going to come back on when your cam phase or whatever the cheap junk you hung on someone's vehicle starts acting up, and they got the same problem. They're going to come back looking at you like, well, you got a 3-year warranty. Here you go. Here's the car, and you got to tear the whole engine back down, and I can't charge a penny. I got to pay for the other part. Oh, maybe now. Maybe I can get my, maybe the part's under warranty. I can get the part. But I got 3-4 hours. I got to pay my tech again. I can't discount and say, oh, you're going to have to do this one for free. We got a warranty. No, I couldn't keep a tech.
Right.
So it cost me all that labor, $400 or $500 worth of labor because I installed that crappy part. It's not worth it to me. It's not a good value.
And one of the things you brought up tires. One of you did, and our producer Olivia, she's got a Tesla, and she put on her sound dampening tires for Teslas. Very expensive, not necessary, but not necessary.
Yeah.
And that's just that's a comfort thing.
Yeah.
A noise. You want your car to be really, really quiet. If that's your thing.
Yeah, sound dampening, just to explain to the audience in case you don't, they actually put a big sponge rubber pad inside of the tire, and it dampens the noise so you don't hear squat. You're hitting bumps in the road and all those little annoying potholes and all the rough concrete or whatever you're running over, you don't hear it. It disappears. It absorbs all the noise.
It's almost like a sound deadener.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's different, we can get this down to just oil changes. Let's
Absolutely.
the thing of it is a good, better, best oil change can consist of a lot of different things.
Yes.
You go to one of these 5-minute oil changes, you're getting just a good oil change. They're just changing your oil. They're
Maybe.
not giving you
Dave,
good service.
that's the point. That's exactly right.
Well, okay, let me just real quick just touch on oil filters. Oil filters can have 7 pleats of paper inside, or they can have 50 pleats of paper inside. Which one do you think filtrates better?
50.
You don't know. You can't look at the doggone filter and take it apart and say, oh, it's only 7 pleats. I want the better one. No, they put in whatever they can make the most money on, right? I wouldn't even touch one of those filters with a 10-foot pole. I have to put a quality filter on because ultimately I'm responsible for the outcome.
Goes back
I
to
want
that.
my customers' engines to last a long time, so I want the filtration of that oil to be maximized, not minimized.
Yeah. And see, to your point, that
Not
goes
about
back,
profits, it's about doing the right thing.
Amen. And it goes back to that PG type grade thing that we're talking about. You know what I mean? Whereas you really can't afford to use that 7 pleat. You know what I mean? Not that it won't filter for a period of time, but I mean, listen,
50 miles.
And here's the thing. At the minimum they're going to do is a 3,000 mile. You know what I mean? Because on a good oil change, you know what I mean? They're going to do what's their interval? What weight of oil are they using? What type of oil are they using? Is it the cheapest bulk that can be purchased? They're certainly not looking at your car. You see what I mean? And I'm hoping, like I say, in maybe another podcast that we do, we can literally break down good, better, best as far as it relates to maintenance and specific services. You know what I mean? What does a quality oil change look like with good, better, best in there? What does a cooling system service look like where, you know what I mean, you're including all the things that go to it? What does a good, better, best transmission service look like? You know what I mean? When you're going to do things. And so, like I say, I'm hoping that with just the exposure, you know what I mean, to the idea, because we're all confronted with this on a daily. You know what I mean? Good, better, best. Like nowadays, you don't get away from a cash register without them flipping that thing over. Hey, do you want to do one of these things?
Yeah,
You know? And I really do. I snickered the other day when I look. You're doing your job, and you want me to give you a tip for doing your job, and I came here to do.
Yeah, no kidding. I know that.
your
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, okay, not that I'm trying to be a cheapskate, but I'm thinking, wow.
Yeah. Now you get a tip for anything. It doesn't matter what it is.
Oh, yeah.
$20 cup of coffee and then they want a tip.
Hey,
Yeah.
I listen. I dressed today to come to work. You got a tip for that?
Yeah. No kidding. Yeah.
Well, sorry,
Yeah.
I digress.
So, you know what, guys? It's been another great podcast, and I think we're going to close it out here, and we're going to talk more about that.
I got a fun quote though.
Go ahead. Let's
All
do
right.
it. Let's do it.
Hey, I couldn't find the sports car of my dreams, so I built one myself. You know who said that? Frederick Porsche.
Ferdinando
Yeah.
Porsche.
Ferdinand Porsche. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I really did.
Yeah. No, that's
You
a
know
good
what?
quote. That's good.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, guys, we'll wrap this thing up and look forward to seeing you at the podcast.
Thank you, David.
Podcast.
All
I
right.
can't even
Thanks,
talk.
Glenn.
Next time.
See ya.
And don't forget to visit us on our website, podcastunderneaththehood.com. Thank you.